Hey, it's me again. It's just about my bedtime, time to go to bed, but I figured I'd tell one more little hunting story before I hit the hay. Uh, this one I call Hound, Doggin, Stink Pigs. And kind of a funny story is when I was about 14 or 15. My uncle's friend from Utah drew a javelina tag down here in Arizona, and he sent him down our way, and I ended up being the one to take him out hunting. I don't know if he'd ever even seen a javelina before at this point uh, in his life, so I was the lucky one to take him out kind of as a guide. Uh, about the first time I'd ever really done that. So, anyways, he's a really cool guy. Decided to hunt on this javelina hunt with a 357 Magnum, a Smith and Wesson double action revolver, and this guy kind of looks like Yosemite Sam, if you can picture that. This guy has big old giant mustache, and really, really cool guy, neat guy. And so I took him out to an area where I grew up hunting since I was a little kid, just following my dad around the hills hunting quail. And before I could even carry a gun, I was just carrying a slingshot and then a pellet gun and a shotgun. And so I knew the area pretty well. And we got out there into the country, and the area where I thought I had seen javelina before, and at least a lot of javelina sign and tracks and whatnot. And so I told him, hey, let's get out here and start slowly going over the ridges and glassing and looking for sign and see what we can come up with. So I don't know why we got lucky that day, and it didn't take us very long. We went over maybe two ridges and spotted some movement on the far ridge, and there was a whole herd of javelina over there. There was maybe like 8 or 9 of them, and just like that, they smelled us, winded us, and they started taking off across the ridge from right to left. And this guy, old Yosemite Sam, he dropped down to one knee and quam, quam. And I think on about the third shot, you heard that big whop, and knew he hit one. And it just kept on running. It didn't drop or anything like that. It just kept on running over the hill, and the rest of them filtered over the hill. And I think he kept shooting at it, but we knew for sure on that one shot we could hear a hit, and you could kind of see the pig hunch up a little bit, which made me think, oh man, I wonder if we gut shot it. So once all the javelina cleared out, we got up. We got his revolver stacked back full of a bunch of new fresh 357 rounds, and we went over there to where the javelina was standing when he shot at it. And there was no blood anywhere. There was nothing, no hair, anything like that. And so we started to do kind of the normal thing. I don't know what other people do tracking. I guess I haven't hunted with all that many other people, but um, we knew the spot exactly where he was standing when he was hit. And so I just started to make little slow circles, bigger and bigger, looking for sign. And I knew the point at which I last saw him, so I went to that point and started doing the little circles again, and looking for any sign of a hit or wound, blood, so we could trail him up. And the ground's hard and rocky about 95% of the time in Arizona, so it's pretty hard to follow tracks. And there wasn't anything, and those pigs cleared out. I mean, they just ran like crazy. So I went back to the area and I was trying to kind of figure out what to do, and I really wanted this guy to be successful. And at that age, you're also kind of trying to prove yourself that you're tough, that you're a man, that you can uh, figure things out and whatnot. So I got down there real close to the ground, and I was looking for blood, any little speck of blood, like even a pin drop, and there wasn't anything. But I don't know why this came to me, why I thought of doing it, but I grew up following my dad around the hills, watching our bird dogs work and hunt quail, and I just thought, wonder if I could smell it. Wonder if I could smell something. So I got down there, right on my all fours, on my hands and knees, and right where he was hit, and I leaned my nose down to the ground and I started smelling the ground. It sounds crazy, I know, but I got my nose right down there and I started smelling the ground back and forth right where he was hit. And I'll be danged if I didn't smell something. I could smell some. It smelled like just a faint smell, kind of like almost like stomach acid, like throw up or something gross like that. But it wasn't real strong. But I could smell it just a little bit. And if I went to the side, the right or the left, I couldn't smell it anymore. So I started going along real slow on all fours, hands and knees, crawling along through the cat claw and the boulders. There's big granite boulders all over the place and some scattered oak brush. And I'd smell the sides of the bushes, and I could smell where this pig was going, where he was running. I could smell that little tiny bit of stomach juice because he'd shot him right in the guts. And I started following that pig all the way down the hill, and it probably went, I mean, I don't know, I was on my hands and knees for a couple 100 yards, and this is getting into some thick brush. And I'm crawling underneath the oak brush and crawling underneath the cat claw, and I'm smelling this bush and smelling that bush. And meanwhile, Yosemite Sam's standing back there with his revolver and his pistol, and he's like, I think maybe, we don't see any blood. Maybe we should just start looking for some more. And he's looking at me like I'm totally crazy, which I probably look totally crazy, but I could smell him. I knew I was smelling something, and I just kept on going with it. So I think you went this way. And this guy's looking at me like, man, this kid is nuts. I can't believe I'm doing this. This is so stupid. But I I was having to get so close to the ground, my nose right on the ground and right next to the bushes to be able to smell it, that I wasn't really looking very far ahead of me. And I just kept on crawling and sniffing the ground. And I got down there maybe 150, 200 yards, maybe even a little farther than that. And it was on the other side of the ridge at this point, and the other side of the draw. And I got into some big boulders, and I looked up, and right in front of my face, I could see a patch of hair sticking out of underneath a rock, and it kind of scared me. I like jumped back and jumped up because I didn't expect it to be right there in front of my face. And when I kind of jumped up, it jumped and kind of went farther down, deeper into the rocks that it had gone into. It kind of gone into a little crevice and a little cave. And man, I called to our friend and said, "Hey, get over here! I found him." And he's like, "Are you kidding me? I heard him on the hill. Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, he's right here. He's right here under this rock. Get over here." And man, he came hustling down the hill with that 357. He says, "Where?" I said, "It's right in there." And he's like, "Where? I don't see anything." I said, "Come on, get down here. Duck your head down low. Look under that rock." And there, sure enough, it was his little patch of hair. We kept looking at it, watching, and trying to figure out what part of its body it was. And turns out it was just a little piece of his shoulder that was sticking out of that rock. And so he took his big old 357 and jammed it down there underneath that rock. I mean, at about like 3 feet away from it, and wham! Man, that pig just busted out of that rock right between us. We jumped out of the way, and it ran down the hill like 20 or 30 yards and fell over dead. And I couldn't believe it. I thought it was so cool. And that guy came back telling my uncle and all the people he knew up in Utah, my family, said, "This kid's crazy. He's part bloodhound. He's part dog," or something like that. And so that was always a fun story to look back on. Hunting javelina, it's always kind of an interesting experience, different animal you don't usually chase too much, and just a lot of fun. So again, fun stories. You always have cool things happen when you go out hunting and get in the hills. Lots of new experiences. So some takeaways from that: don't be afraid to try something new. Trust all your senses, because you never know. I mean, just because you always rely on sight and sound doesn't mean some of your other senses can't come into play sometimes and help you out. So anyways, have a good night, and hope you enjoyed the story. Bye.